Hey everyone, welcome back to Strategically Small. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the challenges, the difficulties of living in a tiny space, specifically a tiny studio space, okay? As you know, I'm currently living in a studio that is 355 square feet in total, okay? So I'm going to be touching on some of the challenges that I have noticed over the last couple of months that I think may be helpful for you if you're considering either moving into a studio or buying a studio space. This is something that you should keep in mind. All right, so let's get into it. So the first challenge I would say is that there is a lack of separate spaces, okay? Everything is in one big room, all right? A studio is literally one room, all right? So we don't have a separate kitchen space, separate dining area, separate bedroom, separate living room. There are no separate spaces, okay? Everything is together, all right? So if that is something that is going to bother you, then you may not want to look at studios because, for instance, in my place, I don't have a dining table. There's no room for a dining table. I just eat at the bar or I eat at the couch. I also don't have a bed, a physical bed here. I have a sofa bed because this is more conducive for the layout of the dimensions of my studio. You may have to forego certain designated living areas, okay? So, for example, if you're someone that needs a desk set up, you need to come into this space and make sure that there's enough room for you to have a physical desk, what size it needs to be, and if there's enough room, if you include other pieces that you need, such as your bed, etc. But for me, I don't have a desk, so this is not something that was very crucial for me because I can just work on my laptop. But you have to understand what is needed for your particular living situation. So if you're someone that you need particular separate spaces that are traditional, then a studio space probably is not the best idea for you. Everything happens in this one room. And so when I say that to people, they're like, well, what happens when you're cooking? And what happens if your clothes smell like the food? So for me, yes, the kitchen obviously is in the same room. And I cook every day. I do lots of cooking. The one thing that I would say that you have to keep in mind is that, yes, this is a small space, but you can still have open flowing air. So I always have my screen door open so that there's fresh air flowing through here all the time. I also burn essential oils all the time. I like particularly eucalyptus and lemon. I burn that in my little candle burner. And you can also get incense, candles. So there are different ways that you can sort of combat the smells that are coming from the kitchen, also from the bathroom. You can keep essential oils in both locations so you can burn them and make sure that your house is always nice and fresh and smelling great. Next thing I would say is that you need to find or build custom furniture to fit the space, okay? My space is very long and narrow, okay? It is not a wide space by any means, okay? It's very narrow, and so therefore I had to come up with particular furniture that would fit the design of this space, okay? So if you look at my previous video, you will see that in the tour, I have a sofa bed in this space that I had made right here in Rwanda. Now, I chose a sofa bed because if I had a full bed here, there was going to be no room for a couch or a sofa. It's either one or the other. So I chose to have a sofa that converts into a bed. You can also look into things like Murphy beds. There are a lot of things that you can design to fit your particular studio space, okay? So for me, the sofa bed is something that I'm very happy with. I think it fits the space very well. But again, you have to measure everything, make sure that you're picking furniture that fits within the space. You don't want anything overwhelming the space. So nothing should feel too big for the small space, right? I also do not have a desk, although I work a lot. there's no desk here. And I have several locations where I can set my laptop and I can work, but again, I had to physically come into the space and visualize, okay, if I don't have room for a physical desk, where can I actually work, and make sure those locations actually work for your desk, your workspace, right? So for example, because I only use my laptop, there are several areas that I can work in the studio. But if I needed like a monitor and my laptop, so I needed two screens, then yeah, this setup would not work. I would need to have an actual desk that I would probably need built here. So you have to figure out how you work, what works best for you, and make sure that the space fits that. So the next thing I would say is there is no space to entertain. Well, I didn't say no space. There's not a lot of space to entertain, okay? Guests can't really just come over. I would say maximum 2 people can fit comfortably in this space, okay? Anything more than 2, you're pushing it, okay? So if I have friends over, it's 1 friend at a time. It's not a group of people that are coming over here. There's just no space for that, okay? So if I need to meet up with a group of people, I will have to go out to a restaurant, go out for coffee, or, you know, what have you, which is totally fine with me. But if you're someone who really likes to entertain, then this would be somewhat of a concern for you, because having large groups of people come over is not really possible in a small space. Now, some people do make it work. They'll fit maybe, you know, 5 people in maybe my space at one time, but for me, that's not really comfortable. So I would say you have to understand yourself, know your personality. And if you are someone that likes to entertain, then you have to make sure that you have enough space for that, okay? For example, if I have 1 person over here, we can comfortably sit on the couch, or we can both sit at the bar, or we can sit out on the balcony. But anything more than 2 people, it definitely is a crowded, it would be way too crowded. So that's not gonna work. Going along with having people over, there is no guest bathroom, okay? I don't know if you're one of those people. I'm one of those people, especially during COVID. I would like to have a guest bathroom so that when people come over, they have their own separate space and I have my own separate bathroom, okay? But in a studio, obviously, there's only 1 bathroom, okay? So you have to make sure that you're comfortable with guests using your bathroom. If that's something that you're not comfortable with, then a studio may not be the best option for you if you are entertaining a lot, okay? So keep that in mind. Normally in, you know, a townhouse or even a condo, a 1-bedroom, there would be your main bathroom and then a half bath, somewhere where your guests can use. But in studios, it's just the 1 bathroom, all right? So keep that in mind. The next point I would mention is that there is not a lot of space to exercise inside, okay? Now, I make my situation work mainly because I have a sofa bed, okay? If I had a real size bed in here, there would actually be no space for me to exercise, okay? But because I have a sofa bed, there is a little bit of room right in front of the sofa that I utilize to exercise indoors, okay? And you may be asking, well, you know, why is that important? You could just run outside, right? Well, yes, I do jog outside all the time. However, there are times, especially during COVID, where we are not allowed to exercise outdoors, okay? The last couple months, we were in lockdown, and we were actually in lockdown for a couple weeks here in Rwanda. So we were not allowed to go outside to exercise, okay? So we literally had no option but to exercise indoors. And if you're in that situation, which unfortunately I can foresee happening again because of all the variants and all of that, then you need a space indoor to exercise, okay? So for me, I needed to make sure that in the event I'm stuck inside, we're quarantined or what have you, that there is enough space for me to get some sort of physical activity happening inside. All furniture pieces must be multifunctional or convertible, okay? So in my space, a good example is my washing machine doubles as my laundry bin, okay? I don't have a separate laundry bin where I throw my dirty clothes into the bin. No, as soon as I take off clothes that are dirty, it goes straight into the washing machine. And that's my laundry bin. So when the washing machine gets full, then I just do a load of laundry, I wash, and that's that. But I don't have a separate laundry bin as most people do. The washing machine functions as it's a multifunctional piece, all right? Also, my bar stool, as you saw in my video, this doubles as a desk, okay? So I can sit on it, but I also use it as a desk. I'm actually filming right now on the bar stool in front of my sofa. So this is multifunctional furniture, okay? Of course, my sofa also doubles as a bed. So in designing your space, you have to make sure that all furniture pieces serve more than one purpose, okay? My ottoman serves as a sort of a coffee table. Also, it serves as a ladder. So everything that you have must serve more than one purpose. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. Now, the next thing I will say is, I do a lot of cooking. I cook every day. And what I've noticed here is that because the food is so fresh, it's so organic, that I can only buy groceries for a few days, okay? When I first came here initially, I was trying to buy groceries for 1 week because that's sort of what I was used to doing back in the US. However, after like day 4, the produce starts to go bad, okay? So I usually, when I shop now, I will get things for 3-4 days max. Because definitely by day 5, you need to throw the stuff out. So you can't go a whole 7 days of fresh produce. Also, because there's limited cabinet space in the kitchen, I'm not able to stockpile or bulk buy dry items, okay? Now that's something I love to do in my pastime is I would go to Sam's Club or Costco. I would bulk buy all the things that I love, okay? But here, I cannot just buy a limited supply of dry goods like beans, tomato paste, those type of things. I only buy what's actually needed for that particular week or just a few days, okay? Because there's just no room to store the items, all right? So that's another drawback is that, yeah, normally if there's a nice sale, you can bulk buy and you could just stock up on things. But when you're in a studio, there is limited cabinet space, okay? So I only get what is needed for the next few days. One of the other pros that we always talk about with tiny spaces is that, oh, it's very easy to clean, right? Because it's a small space. Now, yes, it is easy to clean. However, it also gets dirty just as quickly, okay? So anytime you're coming into the space or you're moving one item around, that can create clutter, right? So I find that I do a lot more cleaning in a tiny space than I do in a much larger space, just because of the mere size requires that you continue to upkeep the cleaning, or else you become overwhelmed with dirtiness or clutter or anything like that, right? So for me, it's very important that my space is clean. So yeah, I'd probably spend more time cleaning than is normal, but that's okay. I'd rather have it clean than unclean. But yes, keep that in mind. Because it's very easy to clean, it's also very easy to get dirty. The next thing I'll say is that there's not a lot of closet space or storage space in general, okay? If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I have a custom-made closet here. Now, it does serve as good organization, however, it's limited space, okay? So that means that I can't really shop endlessly for things. And of course, I live a very minimalistic lifestyle, so that works for me. But if you're someone who likes to shop, you like to acquire a lot of things and bring them home, then this may be something that is not good for you, all right? So just keep that in mind. It's limited space and you have to be very organized, because when there's lack of organization, you may become overwhelmed in your tiny space. So you want to keep things as organized as possible. So guys, these are just some challenges that I have noticed over the last few months of living in a tiny space. Of course, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm not going to say that everything is roses when it's not. However, I will say that the positives definitely far outweigh the negatives, okay? So in my next video, I'm going to get into the positives of living in a tiny space. So if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave it below. I hope this was helpful to you in case you are considering moving into a studio or buying a studio, renting. These are some things that you just want to keep in mind. All right, so I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.